3 months ago, my granddad was a stroke survivor. And upon when seeing him in the hospital, he had complete loss of function of his right side of his body, predominantly his right arm. Now, through the help of the occupational therapist and the physiotherapist, he was able to get to walking normally again and independently. But what kind of remained persistent was his right arm. And although the occupational therapists have been discharged, they do say that the state that his arm in recovery is that it's completely fine. But to my granddad, who has a PhD, he's a professor, he's a giver back to the family, someone who's very independent, this is not enough to him. And I really want to show him throughout this video, and for him to look back on, is the amount of progress my granddad has made from exercising by himself over the course of a couple months, to show that he's gone from zero to being a hero. And I wish I made this diary from long ago as well, because what my granddad has achieved is so much, and it's so powerful for me to see him not even being able to move his shoulder, to now being able to lift up his pinky finger by himself against gravity. And it's just insane to me. And I made this video to highlight and tribute, to show where he was before compared to now. This video will show you the experiences my granddad has been through, to show you some of the exercises that he has done, because I'm so proud of him. Okay, so do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. My name is Samir Said. I have a PhD in computer engineering from Bradford University. That's in 1982. I teaching the computer engineer in Iraq, and then I moved after invasion in 2003 to Jordan. I teach in Amman University about 11-12 years, and then I moved to London in 2016. I'm retired now. Well, I enjoy myself with friends. My life is stable. I have nothing unless a little bit of cholesterol increase sometimes. No blood pressure, no sugar, and that's it.
Okay, so more about your stroke. When you first had the symptoms, did you know what was going on?
That's what happened on 28th of May. Yeah, at 1 o'clock p.m. a.m. Sorry, 1 o'clock a.m. in the early morning, I feel I am very cold, and then I vomit. I think at that time I thought that it's because I eat from outside, not from home. So maybe, but I don't feel the stroke, never. And then I got sleep. After about 6 o'clock morning, I wake up. I feel my right hand is very heavy. It's fall down. I can't control, never, zero control on it. And then I don't know what to do. So I wake up my daughter. I tell him what happens, and immediately she called the emergency, and they took me to the hospital. And then they make a CT scan, and they said, you have a stroke. So I immediately stay in the hospital about 7-8 days.
So How was your experience at the hospital?
Well, at the hospital, they take care of me, of course. They do all the tests, blood test, sugar test, CT scan, um, everything. They want mainly to make things settle down. They don't worry about my hands. Is it moved or not? They said this is later on by physiotherapist, everything will be okay, but they want the stroke be settled down. They're afraid from another stroke maybe happens. So they blood test nothing in blood test expect the sugar. It was about 21, so it's very high, and make it slow, low, and then when they have a confidence that there's no another stroke, they discharge me. And then after one day, exactly next day, the physiotherapist team come at home and they start making an exercises.
So, when you came out of hospital, how was the symptoms impacted your life?
Well, the first priority was I want to drive my car, and that's because when they discharged me, they told me you can't drive a car for 1 month. Okay, I accept that, but after a month I want to drive the car. So I make a lot of exercises to make my arm help me to drive or to catch the steering so I can't drive the car. Fatigue, yes, I have a fatigue because I can't control even sometimes myself. I feel always very tired. I want to sleep. I want to lie on the sofa. In the beginning, especially, I lose a weight after outside from hospital. In 8 days in the hospital, I lost about 8 kilo, and then after that, I change my style life. I eat healthy food. I give up all the bread, rice, something like this. So I lost about 15 kilograms from my weight.
So, what is one thing that you like to do but you find difficult doing now?
Now, after a lot of exercises with the physiotherapist team, and after they discharge me, my grandson Abdullah starts making the exercises for me, looking of course on internet what's going on, a lot of exercises. Now the arm is okay, only the fingers, and can't hold spoon, something heavy. This is but my arm now is perfect.
I know you mentioned that you had physiotherapists and they came to our house to help. So could you tell me more about their support?
Yeah. Next day after the discharge from the hospital, they came, and they are very helpful. They start making an exercise. The team is divided into two sub teams. One team make an exercise related to the body, and they test my brain. I mean, how I remember things, how making my lifestyle, these things. Some exercises relate to the shoulder, to the leg, to the hand, normal. The other sub teams related to the arm. They want to recover my arm to working okay. They are very helpful. It's quite clear the exercises, the function of each exercise, how is affect my my status. So they are very helpful, but it's only 6 weeks. It's very short time. But later on, they said they are referring me to the another team, which they came once a week. But the after discharge, they came every day for 6 weeks.
In terms of your recovery, where do you feel are at now?
With the if the normal hand give 10 out of 10, so I am now about 7.5 out of 10. I am very happy with this short time recovery. So beautiful.
Now that you've seen and heard from my granddad about the recovery and where he is at now, I'm now going to showcase some videos of some exercises that we do at home. Now a disclaimer, this isn't a medical advice video and isn't something that you should take note to note, but rather it is a showcase of how to do these exercises independently in the house and what's actually worked for him. Okay, so we're going to start with the shoulder exercise. So if you want to put your arms out and then back in, control it, and then going up, and then as high as you can, and then down, and control, and you're going to repeat this as much as you can. Okay, and down. Okay, and we're going to try some resistance. You want to put your arms down, okay, and then push up. Good. Down and up. Good. Okay, so now we're going to do a tricep exercise. So if you want to put your hand behind your head and then extend out using your elbow. Good. And then go back and out. Do it with resistance. So back in and out. Good. Back in and out. Very good. Back in. Okay, so now we're going to rotate the forearm and keep his other hand onto his bicep. So we're going to rotate your arm fully in and fully out. So that's your supination and your pronation. Now we're going to apply resistance on it as well. So I'll hold his hand, okay, and out. Good, more, good, and back in. Good, and out. First wrist exercise, but first we're going to stretch the wrist. Okay, and you would hold this for 30 seconds and then you can relax. And now we're going to try and lift the wrist against gravity. As high as you can, as high as you can. Down, up, okay. Down and up. Down and up. Good. And then we're going to use resistance, yes. And you use the opposing hand to apply resistance as much as you can. And throughout these exercises, we want to avoid using the bicep. So now we're going to work on the second wrist exercise, and this will be the wrist flexion. So if you want to stretch the wrist first. Good, and you'll hold this for 30 seconds again. And now we're going to move it up without any resistance, as high as you can. And if you want, you can try and apply resistance. So you can use your phone and place it on your hand and then try and lift it. And if you place your other hand on your bicep, good, so you can see if you're using your bicep. Good, so we're just using our wrist. Okay, so now we're going to work on the third wrist exercise, which is deviating the wrist, which is the radial deviation and the ulnar deviation. So if you want to move your wrist out and in, good. And you're going to apply resistance to the exercise. So if you're going to go out, then you push your hand in, good. And then do it the other way. Good. Okay, so now we're going to do one of the thumb movements. So we're going to bring our thumb to the base of our hand, like so. Good. And then we're going to bring it all the way up, the thumb as high as you can, and then we're going to bring it out. So this will be our abduction, and then our adduction. And we're going to repeat this. Abduction, then out, up, and then in as our adduction. And then to make it harder, you can add resistance by pressing down on your thumb with your other hand when you're going up. Good. So now we're going to do the second thumb exercise, which is our flexion and extension. So we're going to move a thumb upwards, good, and we're going to bring it down, and then up, and then down. And we're going to try and make sure we don't move our other fingers when we're doing this exercise. If we want, we can add some resistance by pressing down on our thumb when we're moving upwards. Good. Moving it down. Good. And we can keep repeating that exercise. So now we're going to do our third thumb exercise, which is opposition. So bringing our thumb to each finger. So we're going to first bring it to our index finger, then to our middle finger, try to bring it to our ring finger, and then try to bring it to our little finger. And we'll do it as much as we can. Even if it's difficult, we have to keep repeating. So once you try to do the little finger, we go back to the index finger, then to the middle, the ring, and then to the little finger. What we can do is we can try and grip onto the finger and use our other hand to try and prevent breaking it. So let's try with our index finger. Good. And we can keep repeating this. Good. Our last thumb exercise is moving the top or the base of the thumb. So what we're going to do is hold one of the bones as shown, and we're going to try and wiggle the top of the thumb. Good. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and do it without moving the other fingers. Okay, so we're going to do one of our first hand exercises, and this will just be opening and closing the fist. But first we're going to stretch the fingers generally. So bring it in. And then we're going to stretch it out. Good. And now we're going to try to practice opening and closing. So close and open, close. So now we're going to extend the fingers. So before we do that, we're going to stretch the fingers, and we'll usually hold it for 30 seconds. And then move on to the middle finger, and so forth. So now we're going to try and exercise each finger. So what we're going to do is place our hand on each of the fingers and try and move the finger up. And it might be difficult at first, but we're going to stretch it each time we do it. And we'll do it like 10 times and we'll move on to the next finger. So do the middle finger. Good. We're going to try our ring finger. We'll stretch it. Good. And And you might find it easier if someone else was to help stretch it out, but this is so that if you are by yourself in the house, this is how you may want to do it. So now we're going to move on to flexing the fingers, and this is specifically the proximal interphalangeal joint. So what we're going to do is that we're going to stretch our fingers first. So we'll stretch each finger. Good. So we're going to try and hold it down for 30 seconds and we'll move on to each finger. And now we're going to try and work on our movements. So we're going to start with our little finger. I'm going to move it up. Now because the tendons are together, it may be quite difficult. So we're going to stretch in between. And we'll try around 10 times. And then we're going to try and release each finger. So now that we've released the ring finger, it's becoming a bit more easier to do the exercise. And now we can move on to each finger. So now this time it's the ring finger. And we're holding down the 3 fingers down. And then we can move on to our middle finger. So now we're going to work on flexing the tip of the fingers or the dips, the distal interphalangeal joints. So the first thing we're going to do is stretch it. So we're going to start with the little finger. So we're going to stretch it. I'm going to hold it for around 30 seconds. And then we're going to extend the finger out as much as we can for around 30 seconds again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold the bottom bit or the bottom bone and we're going to try and wiggle the top of the finger. Now for the little finger it's going to be difficult. And if there is difficulties, you're going to have to stretch the little finger in between each time. And it will get there eventually, and it will begin to work. And then we're going to move on to our ring finger. Good. And we're going to try and make sure we extend our finger at the end as well. So now we're going to work on opening and closing the fingers by spreading them apart. This is known as our finger abduction and adduction. So we're going to try and open up the fingers. Good. And we're going to then try closing the fingers. So the role of the other hand is to hold the wrist down and the back surface of the hand. And this is just to try and prevent the fingers moving upwards to close them because of the muscles that are involved in the action. So now try to close it. Good. And then try open it. As you can see, some fingers open, some fingers stay still, but this just comes with the practice and doing it again and again, which has been getting better over the course of the weeks. So now we're going to work on an exercise where we're trying to bend the metacarpophalangeal joints and keeping the fingers straight, like so. I'm going to push it out and then bring it in and then pushing it out and bringing it in. Good. It's been doing much better. So now we're going to work on some exercises where we use some functional strengths. So this time we're going to use is a grip strength. So where we try and grip onto the towel, then straighten our hand, and grip onto the towel and straighten our hands. And what we can do is that there is another person, one person can hold the end of the towel and they could try and pull it from them. And they have to try and grip it. Good. So here's another functional exercise where it's about flicking the coin. And this is going to work on the power of extending the fingers. As you can see, he is flicking the coin rather than pushing the coin. And then you can try this with other fingers as well, but it works most predominantly with the index finger. Good. Okay, so here's another exercise about functional uses within the house. So for example, using a TV remote and how to use it predominantly with the affected hand. And this is working on the power of the thumb to try and push the buttons rather than using the other hand. And this allows for more mobility and is better than doing exercise at home if it's too much. So here's another functional exercise to use at home, and this is with eating. So how we're going to pick up the fork with the opposing hand. And then this works with opposition, once again. And hopefully we'll learn how to use the affected hand. And over time, it's becoming much more easier for him to pick up multiple foods. Best uncle. So the following device here shown is a TEMS machine by NeuroTrack, and the idea is that it provides electrostimulation to stimulate the muscles within the hand that are weak. And this is just to get the muscles involved as well. So if you want to show where the pad placements are, and my granddad's able to put it on himself quite easily. So if you want to turn on the machine, so a program's already been set for him, and what he's doing is he's increasing the milliamps. So as you can see, it's activated the muscles in the extensors. So when it does, he stretches his hand while it stretches it, and then it relaxes. And this is where he closes the fist in this moment. And then again, he will open his hand because of the current that's being supplied, and he will extend the hand. And this is a really great rehabilitation tool. And what is one piece of advice you would give to someone who has been in your situation or something similar?
Yeah, the first thing is then everyone have to read and understand and knowledge about stroke. What's the symptoms to feel before the stroke is coming? Because it's almost the same things. This is the first, knowledge. So immediately after the stroke, because I will make you a story. When I was, before my stroke, in Jordan, which is 2 months before my stroke, the same symptoms is coming. Cold, then vomit, and then sleep because tired. In the morning, when I try, nothing happened, but when I trying to drink my tea, the glass is fall from my hand. The other things it makes my hand, the same hand, of course, which is the right, very weak. But after 1 day, 2 days, it's normal. It was a stroke, but I don't know. It's a stroke. I feel maybe food, maybe cold, maybe. But at that time, if I know that it is a stroke, so maybe they have a medication and they prevent this stroke happened again. And so I advise the people to read more about stroke, what's happened in stroke, how change a life after stroke has happened.